Thank you. Hi, I'm Lily, and I'm here on behalf of Gewerkschafter für Gaza. We're a group of trade unionists and labor activists that are organizing in solidarity with Palestine. I prepared a speech, so I'm just going to read it. Thank you. The genocide in Gaza has laid bare the cruel imperatives of the global political and economic order, radicalizing people around the world and prompting them to think more deeply about how they can mount a challenge to the powers that be. The last months have also made it crystal clear that the bourgeois liberal democracies are not in place to represent the will of the people. Polls indicate that growing proportions of people in the countries most complicit in this genocide are actually in support of a ceasefire. This includes as many as 69% of Germans who believe Israel's military actions in Gaza are unjustified. We've seen millions worldwide demonstrate en masse, and there have been many direct confrontations with politicians in the streets, at speaking engagements, in restaurants, and on trains. By now, they know how we feel. Yet the heads of state consistently refuse to cede or even consider the will of the people. Of course, in Germany, by now we're all familiar with the egregious and unconstitutional state of repression, police brutality, and open genocide complicity of its leaders. The discrepancy between what the people want and what the government is doing is no aberration. Rather, it presents an opportunity to witness precisely to whom our politicians are beholden. German arms exports to Israel have increased tenfold since October 7th. This regime profits off these arms deals and military expenditures, paid for with our tax money, the fruits of our labor. Israel itself is so fiercely protected by the West because it serves as a military outpost in an oil-rich region that is of great strategic importance to the heavy industries of capital. These facts offer us a clear view of where our power lies and how we can most potently direct our outrage. If we want to throw a wrench in the machine of genocidal warfare, we ought to do so not just by appealing to the consciences of our depraved politicians, but by hitting them in their bank accounts. And we do that by strategically waging our power as workers who ultimately create the wealth of this world. And this message is clearly beginning to spread in the case of solidarity with Palestine. As early as October, Palestinian trade unions issued a call for their fellow workers around the world to stop arming Israel. There have since been a growing roster of industrial trade unions who have heeded that call, from Italy to India to Belgium and across the US and the UK. In Germany, as usual, Palestine's solidarity with trade unions is less advanced. Major unions in Germany, such as Verdi and IG Metall, have even released official statements in staunch support of Israel. But we as members of these unions do not agree. We at Gewerkschafter für Gaza are a growing group of trade unionists and labor activists in Germany who are dedicating ourselves to answering the call of our fellow workers and human beings in Palestine by organizing around the following demands. We call for the end of German weapons exports to Israel. Germany is the second largest weapons exporter to the Israeli state. Too many of these weapons are built and transported by workers here in Germany. We must refuse to be complicit in the disgraceful use of our labor. We demand a ceasefire. For months, our sibling trade unions across the world have already been calling for an immediate ceasefire. A ceasefire is far from our end goal, but it still remains important and urgent as the ground invasion in Rafah is now underway. We take a stand against the erosion of civil liberties of workers and migrants here within Germany. We staunchly oppose and condemn the state-sanctioned retaliation against those who stand in solidarity with Palestine, from violent attacks on protesters by the police, to the loss of people's livelihoods, to the closing of Oyun and Frida, the repression of academic freedom, to the racist language bans, evicted encampments, and canceled congresses. Finally, we want to foster open conversation with German trade unions and institutions. Most civil actors in Germany simply bury their heads in the sand on the topic of Israel's ongoing genocide, occupation, and apartheid against Palestinian people, despite the fact that so many in this country report being against the genocide in Gaza. As Gewerkschafter für Gaza, we are arranging to speak at workers' assemblies and working to foster political education as a means of bringing discussions around Palestine out into the open. It is through disrupting the gears of capital that we can use our collective might as workers to shape the course of world events in line with the will of the people. And when we use our power as workers to resist genocide in Gaza, we also liberate ourselves from the shackles of capitalist exploitation wherever we are in the world. If you're a member of a trade union or otherwise a worker and you would like to get involved, please come find me. We have a Telegram channel, of course, and we also have an Instagram page. And our next meeting is happening online on May 21st at 6 p.m. I was gonna say that I have flyers with all this info. Somebody here does have flyers. Did somebody print flyers? Come to us afterwards. We have flyers with all this. That's all. Thanks.